It is day 3 of the Randy Gregory tournament here at CCBC Catonsville, the Catonsville campus of the Community College of Baltimore County. And we are just 13 and a half minutes away from tip-off for Game 5, the third to last game of this tournament, which has been a fun one so far. Hello folks, this is Isaac Donsky here, ready to bring you all of the action for Game 5 of the Randy Gregory tournament as CCBC Catonsville, the host school, faces off against Kingsmen Academy. Now, this is going to be an interesting game so far. For those of you who have been keeping up with the tournaments, let's quickly recap everything that happened to these teams so far. Catonsville kicked off the tournament with a resounding victory over Westchester Community College. Then yesterday, closed out day 2 with a big win over Bull City Prep, a victory that they had to fight tooth and nail for. It was a tough one, but the Cardinals got the job done. Catonsville has now won 3 straight games, are 2 games out of being 500. So, this is a crucial win for the Cardinals if they can get it. But they have to go up against an extremely tough opponent, the Knights of Kingsmen Academy Prep School. They pulled off the upset of the tournament so far when they defeated Baltimore City Community College yesterday in our first game of the day. That upset was punctuated by a massive dunk by senior Eddie Mitchell as the buzzer rang out. Now that controversial game, of course, was an exciting contest, and you will be able to see Baltimore City play later today as they face off against Bull City Prep in the penultimate game of the tournament. Final game of the tournament, by the way. Let's pause right there. Cardinals own Kurt Smith Jr. coming up to say hi to the booth. Final game of the tournament, the Lady Cardinals will be taking on Monroe College Bronx. That's coming up at 4 o'clock. We've got Baltimore City facing off against Bull City Prep coming up at 2, but kicking us off here at noon is going to be the Cardinals versus the Knights. A de facto championship game in a way for this tournament. Both of these teams undefeated so far, coming off victories yesterday. Whoever wins this game basically will finish the tournament undefeated. This tournament isn't there's no big prize at the end. It's essentially just for fun and bragging rights. But you could say this is the de facto championship game, and we'll have the de facto third place game coming up later today. Tip-off is scheduled for about 11 minutes from now. We're going to hold off for a second until we get the starters to announce them. We are glad that you're joining us this morning for Game 1 of Day 3 of the Randy Gregory Tournament, Game 5 of the entire tournament. Cardinals and Knights coming up just after this. Well, good news, folks. We have the starters ready to give to you, so let's go ahead and list them off. And we're going to start with Kingsmen Prep, who are going to be wearing a very interesting jersey. If you're a fan of the NBA back in the 90s and you ever watched old highlights of the Utah Jazz, well, Kingsmen is going to give you a throwback because their uniforms are very, very reminiscent of those old Jazz uniforms. Catonsville, interestingly enough, are very reminiscent of the Chicago Bulls uniforms, so in a way, just point that out there. Here are the starters for Kingsmen Academy. Starting at forward, a senior from Atlanta, Georgia, number 3, Jalen Taylor. Starting at guard, a senior from Atlanta, Georgia, number 23, Jalen Caruth. Starting at guard, a senior from Decatur, Alabama, number 24, Eddie Mitchell. Starting at guard, a junior from Birmingham, Alabama, number 30, Madricus Moreland Jr. And starting at forward, a senior from Minneapolis, Minnesota, number 32, Wunzamish Sherman. Kingsmen's coaching staff is as follows: head coach Jaleel Sanders, assistant coaches Rashad Caruth and Anton Hosen. Now here are the CCBC Catonsville Cardinals starters and coaches. Starting at forward will be a sophomore from Nassau, Bahamas, graduate of St. George's High School, Christopher C.J. Johnson. Starting at guard, a sophomore from Washington, D.C., graduate of Cardozo High School, number 1, Keith Bullock Jr., the floor general of the Cardinals. Starting at forward, a sophomore from Randallstown, Maryland, graduate of Randallstown High School, number 15, Austin Smith. Starting at guard, a sophomore from Owings Mills, Maryland, graduate of Newton High School, number 23, Maurice Money Smith. And finally, starting at guard, a sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, graduate of Baltimore City College High School, the sharpshooter, number 25, Jalen Yates. The Cardinals coaches staff includes head coach Great White, the man with one of the coolest names in coaching, and assistant coaches Damian Brockington, Jarvis Thomas, DeJuan Elamine, Albert Hawley, Isaiah McCray, and Anthony Good. We've got about 5.5 minutes before this game tips off. Once again, big shout out to everyone at CCBC Catonsville who helps get these games underway. And as, of course, a special shout-out to my cameraman for today's game who's been working with me the whole weekend, Mr. Orlando Perez, the star shortstop for the CCBC Catonsville Cardinals baseball team. You can watch CCBC Catonsville Cardinals baseball and softball this coming spring. We'll have all their home games streamed live here on our official YouTube channel. Go Cardinals. We'll be back in about 5 minutes for the tip-off of today's game with opening announcements from the voice of the Cardinals, PA announcer Richard Keller.